Welcome to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Listen and grow as Del questions the status quo, encourages you to think differently, and empowers you to make a better life. Get ready as Del challenges core beliefs, seeks the truth, and reveals the roadmap to the lifestyle you really want. And now your host, multi-millionaire, national award-winning investor, CEO and founder of Lifestyles Unlimited, Del Walmsley.
Welcome to the Del Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and the help begins. I'm your host, Del Walmsley, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom. Today, my friends, is another Tell Del Tuesday, where we try to introduce you to people that have gone through this and done it. Today, however, this is one of those times when I have somebody on that from beginning to end, it's just exactly the way life should work. And this is the type of people that I really, really like to see become successful. So with me today is Chad and Lisa Smith. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir.
Morning, John.
From nothing to award-winning real estate investors. That's the story today. We got to get it all out. Don't have a lot of time to do it, only 1 hour. And so much to talk about from where you've come from to all the way where you're at now and what you've accomplished and where you're going. So it's a lot to do. Let's start, if we could, with how did you first hear about us? Or, well, even before that, when did you start thinking you should look into something differently? Or was it that we found you or you had already been looking? How did that work out for you?
Well, we were actually doing stuff for our children to try to advance their future. Like we had 529 Plan, we had different avenues for their success planning. And I actually called my brother, who's Brian Sifford, and he actually had been talking to Chad about lifestyles, but Chad hadn't talked to me about it. And Brian spoke to me about it that day, and that afternoon I looked online. I went to that evening class. It was like a Tuesday, and you had a Tuesday class, an informational class, and we went to that, and then we signed up for the 2-day.
So, guys, there's a rule 1437B-7 in the Book of Life says no one ever listen to you once they know you. Familiarity breeds contempt. Why were you willing to listen to your brother? Are you that close, or is Brian just that good a communicator?
No, Brian's tried a lot of different avenues. Yes, we're very close, but I'm a good student, and I'm always looking at ways to get ahead, and he had to tell me what he did, and I knew he wasn't lying to me, and I'm one to take action and just trust, and so I did, and it's been very, very beneficial for our family. So,
Chad, you have your cowboy hat and boots on today?
Not yet. We've been in the office doing some things, but right after the show, I'll be out in the field.
So let's talk about this. When you guys came to the 2-day, I mean, you've been. I'm sure Brian prepped you quite a bit. When you came to the 2-day, what were your aha moments?
I understood the math, and Brian had said to go into multifamily first. Chad wanted to do single family, but I'm like, no, Brian said this is where the money's at, let's just do it. And so he had said that, and I just listened and took notes and wrote down what my goals were, and I accomplished them. So, Chad,
what was your aha moment in the thing? What brought you
there was a lot to take in. I think my aha moment was whenever we actually did the 2-day. David was doing it, and I don't forgot who it was. There were a couple of I remember there was I think Doug was there, and a couple other people that had already done it, and they got up and they were talking, and I think that was my aha moment. Was it's not just David up there talking and explaining everything, going through numbers and how it can be done. There was actually people that had taken their time out of their day, showed up, and said, this is, we did it, so that was probably my aha moment.
So when you guys came out of the 2-day, your first adventure was to just go ahead and try getting into somebody else's deal. Is that what you started with, some passive deals?
Yes, sir. Yeah, so we started passively, and then actually we bought an RV, and we thought we were rich, getting $300 a quarter. And we were actually listening to you, Del, on your radio show on vacation. We took the kids to Arkansas and all over, and we were in our RV thinking, this is it. We've made it. We're all that. And then you said, all this stuff is just stuff. You could sell it and buy it back and pay cash and be done. And, an RV is just a box on wheels. And I was like, he is so right. We're so wrong. So on vacation, I started looking at everything, like how we could get cash. And I was self-employed. And so it was, we just started saving my income and stuff like that. But it was just, on vacation is when we realized we really need to take the plunge and be more active in this. And Brian had actually called and said he was quitting his job and he's going to be a lead. And I was like, well, what does all that entail? And I'm like, well, I could do that. You're no better than me, dude. And so I just was like, and he's like, yeah, you can, Lee. And so I just I took my CAM and started the apartment association, getting all my education. We have our IROP. Just because I'm an educator, I wanted to really know what I was doing so I wouldn't be breaking the law left and right, So it was just education on my part is really big, and knowledge. And I have a very, very strong work ethic, and I'm very persistent. I don't deviate from the job. I'm very conscientious about all that I do. So,
being that you're a teacher by trade, how did you feel about our educational information? Did you feel like it covered the necessary components to get you where you need to be?
No, I think it did, but then I think the avenues of having the mentor, having the consulting team, having other avenues within your whole system that help bridge the gap, is what's made y'all successful, because you have provided everything for us. So and that's what I tell people when they are like, oh, about joining. I'm like, you're basically paying for a college education. It's up to you to utilize it or not. The choice is yours. But everything is laid out from you, for you. So you have Home Depot, you have Sears, you have, the attorneys, you have CPAs, you have, your consulting team, your mentors, your guidance. Everyone is there to guide you to be successful. So it's just up to you to get off your butt and do it, kind of thing. And I'm a very driven individual, and I'm very honest with people. And so that's, in people that have done it, like when we first we were going to the case studies, I guess, and the whole room was packed. It was pre-COVID, there wasn't a seat in the house. And I walked to the back of the room, and there was this gentleman there, and I'm like, so do you think this is legit? And he's like, you just got to get off your butt and do it, girl. And I'm like, I could do that. And so I was like, okay. And so, we signed up immediately and just started hitting hard the education on vacation, actually, and came home, and we had yard sales and sold all Chad's toys and everything we had to get the $100,000 to buy an apartment.
Now, that's a big decision, guys. I'm proud of you for doing it. Let's talk about the steps then after that. Lisa, if you want to pick this up, how did you start building your list of investors to take with you into the deals? And I assume that these were not IRO deals. These were syndications, right? Correct.
Yes, sir. It was actually friends and leads and people advising us and directing us who were in lifestyles. And at the case studies, we would go up and say we're aspiring leads and got our clientele from that. But mainly on our first deal, it was a very small amount of people. And the first property was $1.3 million. It was 24 units. And so I had my KPs, and then I just had my lifestyle, like closest friends kind of thing, because within this community, these people become your friends, because while you're selling off everything and saving all your money, people think you're crazy and you lost your mind, all your current friends, because, the mindset is like hang out with who you want to be, right, and what you want in life. And so actually the lifestyle people became our closest friends, really, because they knew we weren't crazy. And now those other people who thought we were crazy see us and they're like, what did you do again? So it was just people within the lifestyles community that we were close to, that I could get advice from or ask questions, or who do you use for this, share contractors. So the whole Lifestyles Unlimited team is just wonderful. And all the people in it, it's basically copying what I do so you could be successful. It's a very open sharing thing. So it's totally different than the world's view on stuff, where you don't talk about checkbooks or money or anything with anyone. It's very closed. But in Lifestyles, everything's very open. So that is something that is really beneficial to the success of all your lifestyle leads.
You did it right. You started with a small one. That way you get your feet wet. It's
Right.
small enough you can learn without it being difficult to do. Yet at the same time, being small is always a good thing for a first-time lead because you very quickly then realize that there is such a thing as economics of scale. And
Right.
that means you're going to get through this thing and get it done so you can move on. I get that. Let's start, though, with when you took it over. You know, this is a brand new deal to you. You've never done one. What kinds of things were happening around you? I know you had the education because you studied. You're a good learner. You studied and you had mentors helping you. What kind of things were happening around you that was really exciting you? I mean, you were changing people's place to live, changing lives. Tell us what you saw and felt as you were doing all this.
For me, it became more like a ministry because it was just like, you know, I had a lot of single moms. I had a lot of moms on welfare, just no money, working 2 or 3 jobs, you know, dead end street kind of people in our residency. And so, like, we sold everything we had, and my kids have grown up, you know, and so like all their Thomas trains and what we spent probably $5,000 on, I gave it to them for $100. You know, I took them and we decorated the community. So when we took over, we took over in May. In July 31st, we had 18 units leave. Like 18 of the 24 moved out. Their leases expired and they moved off property. So I decorated for the holidays and just started beautifying the property and rehabbed all those units and got it leased up. It was challenging, but it was exciting. But I like the unknown, and Chad was freaking out because it was like a mass exodus. I'm like, hey, God's got this. We will figure it out. And I rehabbed all those units, and I raised the rent like $500 on every unit. And so it was amazing. I didn't even realize like the math because I'm the worker bee, getting everything done and beautified and pretty so we could rent it, you know, and leasing and auger sewer lines, whatever needs to be done, I'm doing it. And one of my passives, we had quarterly meetings, and it was the second quarter of ownership, and I was at our 3rd year pro forma already. And he's like, do you realize? And I'm like, no. Then I went home and did the math, and I'm like, we're doing really well. So it was amazing. And just the help from the passives, like, you know, because I was just working and leasing and trying to not have any vacancies, you know, so I'm on property 24/7, just getting it all done because I know I work very fast because the faster you work, the more money you make faster, you know, and so that's how we have been really successful on our properties. And
wow, that's amazing. Yeah. I can't even believe you went up $500 a unit, and that's sometimes that's the joy of ignorance. In other words, I've had that happen to me where I'll put a manager in, and she'll call me and go, well, I got some bad news, some good news. I go, well, what's the bad news? Well, you know, Mrs. Johnson and Bill and Smith and 4 other people moved out. I said, what's the good news? I've already rented the units for $200 more. If you called me and told me you'd rent them for $500 more, I'd be picking you up, carrying you around, you know, like flags throwing at you. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's what I do, Dale. I kind of like gauge from the hip, and I'm like, you know, I bet I could get this. And I offer it to one person. If they sign up, that's my new market rent. So.
Unbelievable. So, Chad, being that you do a lot of work in the construction field type industry, was that helpful to you at all when you were looking at going through the physical structural changes of some of these units?
On the electrical side, for sure. I mean, it helped out. By no means am I a plumber. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, on the electrical side and everything since then, I mean, that's, you know, the electrical side is always is in my wheelhouse. It's my forte. So, you know, that's always like the first things, you know, I'm looking at, you know, is the panels and you know, the outlets and stuff like that, you know, so.
I got you. So, Lisa, as you went through this, you're not a construction person at all.
No, I'm mechanically inclined. Like when I met Chad, I changed my oil, changed my brakes. I could work on your car. I put in a dishwasher. So I'm kind of just like Brian. I know you know Brian, but we're very much the same. My demeanor is exactly like his. We're very hands-on kind of people. So my thing is I had never augured a sewer line. I put in pipes on plumbing in my first house I had, you know, but I just YouTubed it, went and bought the sewer line, cleaned out 24 units, got it done. I was all dressed in heels. I put a trash bag on.
All right, Lisa, we're going to have to take a break right there. We'll be right back with Chad and Lisa Smith and the Del Walmsley Radio Show.
you with a roadmap to creating the lifestyle you really want. Keep listening. The Del Walmsley Radio Show returns in moments.
We sold one of my wife's properties and actually did a 1031 exchange, and we bought 3 brand new builds in Fort Worth. So right now, collectively, we have 3 of her inherited properties and then 3 properties in Fort Worth that we've done through Lifestyles.
And you turn 1 property into 3, tripling your cash flow.
Exactly.
Yep.
Well done.
Learn to increase your cash flow. Register for the workshop at lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com.
You're hearing the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Want more life-changing knowledge? Access our podcast and listen on demand at lifestylesunlimited.com under the radio tab. Now your host, Del Walmsley.
Welcome back to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. With me here today on Tell Del Tuesday is Chad and Lisa Smith. These are award-winning real estate investors out of the Central Texas area, and they started with a couple of small apartment complexes, worked their way into larger ones, in which case they won some awards for doing some really wonderful stuff. So let's do this to move on, Lisa. The first deal, sounds like you made a killing on it. Can you give us some numbers?
Yes, sir.
On that first deal? Because you said, what you telling me, it sounds like you killed it.
Yeah.
So, Del, whenever we had those 18 families moving out of 18 units, and it was only a 24-door. I mean, Lisa wasn't lying. I was in panic mode. The first thing I'm thinking is, we've got to rehab them and get them back out there, get them rented. But the other thing I was thinking was, we have to pay the mortgage on it, and we've got 18 people that just moved out. And so I'm thinking, man, I might have to be putting in a lot of overtime to be paying for this.
But Chad didn't understand how, they teach us to make sure our debt is covered, But for the numbers, sir, we were able to return 228 equity capture and return 176% of their original investment plus their original investment. So a total of 276, but the first 100 is their money back to them.
Right. We understand. So they made 176% return. That's unbelievable. Now let's ask, how long a period of time did it take for that to occur?
That was in 4 years.
4 years,
for
okay.
4 years, yes, sir.
So
we
you take 100.
Second one.
Go ahead.
We bought our second one. We had bought one a year. We bought our first one 2018, our second one 2019. So then I had both of them. Then we bought in 2020 and 2022. So on our second one, it was 24 units also. And on that one, we only held that one for 2 years. It was 2.5 years. And the capture and rate of return was 168 plus their original investment on that one. It was a 315% equity capture. So
unbelievable. 168 in 2 years. So that's over 80% return a year. That's unbelievable. People can't make that kind of money. That can't be real, guys.
Yeah, but it is, and it's just a blessing tenfold. And like what I was saying about it being like a ministry for me, all these people would be crying like, "Thank you so much, ma'am. No one's ever cared for us." And I mean, y'all teach best product, best price, and that's what I would send in my narratives. Like, guys, we are changing people's lives. We're making their homes better. So for me, it became more of, just enhancing these people's livelihood. And by I'm bettering their lives plus ours and our passes. I mean, it's tenfold. It's all the way around. It's a complete circle, so it's just amazing the whole program you have set up and just all the avenues you have put in place to make it successful. That's why you are successful, and I'm just a good student. So I just took your success and let it over into my family.
So, Chad, after you made those incredible returns, did you become a believer then?
Yes.
Oh, the short answer is yes. But, with me still having a W-2, Lisa still is, on site 2 or 3 times a day on our 2 properties we still have in San Antonio, right? And I show up on Fridays. And I see the staff but it's like what she's saying. Whenever you have residents coming in and, thanking you for, taking what was dull and drab and turning it around and making their life better. That's, I don't know, I really don't know how to put it into words, but, it's definitely a blessing, so.
There is a lot to knowing that what you're doing in life is not only just to make money, but it's doing something to help other people. There's no doubt about that. So, Lisa, as we look at this situation here, what I want people to understand that are listening to this for the first time is that you elected to be a syndicator, what we call a lead investor, and that means other people have put their money into your deals, 4 of them so far, and you are, as Chad said, having to work. That is what being a lead investor is. There are people, though, you have been passive investors that made that 168% and that 178% or whatever it was. They are passive. They did nothing to be in this deal. So I want people to understand that. And there's other kinds of real estate, like doing single-family homes and stuff, or small IROs where you can really, spend a little bit of time and really cut back and have your earnings per hour invested be very low. But in this particular case, that's not what you're trying to do. You're trying to be a big-time lead investor and put out some deals and make a lot of money for your investors and hopefully for yourself also. So let's talk about the feelings now, Lisa, and because this is really the educational part you can help people with. You knocked out these 2 small deals. At first, I'm sure everybody has a little fear. Chad had more than you maybe, but you knocked them out. Now you're looking at going larger. Tell us where and when you knew it was time to go larger and what that felt like to know that you were getting ready to go up from a 24 unit to 124. I mean, that's 5 times the size. Tell us about that mentally, where you were at.
I know who I am, like my work ethic and what I could handle, and I could handle a lot. And I'm a go-getter. I'm not one that sits around and does nothing. I'm always doing something. So I knew who I was and what I had been able to produce just on my own, basically. My family was there working with me on the weekends, and after work, Chad would come to the property because I homeschooled, so my kids went to work with me too. So they learned how to lease units and stuff too. And it was just having the faith to move forward, and y'all have everything provided. So if I were to ever get in trouble, I could call Teresa. I could call, a mentor and say, hey, I don't know what to do. I've called Brian and Meredith and said, what do I do here? Someone is always there to guide you. I'm not taking this leap totally on my own. I have backup. I got a family behind me helping me anytime I make a phone call. It's up to me to make that call. And, some people won't make that call, but I'm going to always try to be the best I could be for my passives and for myself and our family, but it's basically just having the mentors behind you and all your passives, because a lot of my passives were in the second deal too. And then they're like, when are you shopping? People call me like, when are you buying again? When are you buying again? And at the expo, they're like, if Lisa Smith ever sends you anything, you just sign it and send it back or you will not be in the deal.
Probably pretty easy to fill up your roster of investors when you're putting out 100+% returns every time. So, Lisa, we've got just about 8 minutes here. I'd like to get in a little bit about each apartment complex and what kind of rate of return you made and explain that you won the awards with them.
Okay, well, the first award was for North Star, was for the first apartment complex we bought, the 24 unit. And the second award was for Boardwalk at Windcrest, the 124 unit we bought in 2020. The first one, it was just changing the demographics in the area, providing better housing, bringing in different clientele. On the second one, we did the same thing. We changed the appearance. We did $1 million in rehab, and I have not sold that one. We still have that one. That's a cash cow money maker, so I do not want to sell that one. I have been producing 9% every quarter since the third quarter of takeover, and it was a deep value play. So I got the work done in the first 3 to 4 months. I was completely done with rehab, and I was totally done, and I had raised the rent, and I had cash. We were cash flowing. So I've been paying 9% every quarter since ownership.
If you look at what you've done already, 9% distribution's great. I would love to be on that distribution list. But the next point is that's not counting the capital gains. What kind of equity have you built up in this thing, capital gains wise, that they also are a part of, they just haven't got yet?
Well, we purchased it for $8.275, and it's worth $19 million now. So
wait, whoa! I'm going to write this down. $8.275 million. It's worth what now? $19 million?
Yeah. So we looked at refining, and I sent it to my banker, and then they gave me the comps of what it was worth today, and that was maybe 6 months ago. So
I'm going to do some math here. Radio math is always fun. That's $11 million gain. I'm rounding, big round. Okay. $11 million gain. It's actually a little more than that. But you didn't put $8 million down to buy it. How much did you come out of pocket as a whole group? What was the cash raised to buy this thing and to rehab it?
$4.275. So $4 million.
$4.275. Okay, I'm going to round that again to $5 million. That's a 220% return that they haven't even received yet. Not to mention the 9%. And that's what's confusing to people as they listen to this on the radio. They can't see that. It's not visible to them. And when you said the other ones were 164, 178, whatever they were, the bottom line is that's happening at the same time the cash flow's coming out of it. That's unbelievable. That is incredible. I can see why you won an award. Let's talk about the other one you did, the other large one, so we can squeeze it in. You've only got 3 minutes, so quickly tell us about that one.
So it's actually it was a retirement community. It's actually 10 acres, and it's 122 units. We have rehabbed all of that as well. We did our first distribution last quarter in less than a year, so I hit my 3-month thing, or 9-month thing. But we actually had done tours with San Antonio Apartment Association since we won. I had to do a tour with them, and then we did tours with our passive investors. So our properties are very pretty. We're renting them up, getting everything done. This one, since it's 10 acres and it's a 1968, so we have plumbing issues, but we have a great maintenance staff, and they're really taking charge and just we're on the ground running kind of people, and so our staff is just like us. That's the people we hire. So it's been a blessing. I mean, it's doing well. We're doing well on it all. So. Excellent
deal. Now that you've done this, you've won the awards, you've turned these deals around. I know, Chad, you said that you may soon in the future hang your tool belt up. What's the future look like for you guys? What's your plans?
Well, we plan to buy again, so we're already looking at properties, and we hope to buy another one soon. Just keep living the dream. Our kids are actually involved, and so they're learning the ropes, and they're doing rent increases, and I'm showing them the stuff, and they really like it. They see this in their future too. They look at their jobs as, I'm going to be a vet 2 days a week and do lifestyles. So they don't really look at having a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday kind of thing. So it's benefited our children in the way they think of their future, and it's taught them how to think in the millions and billions, not hundreds. So it's really opened their door math-wise. But our future is really nice, and when we're excited about Chad retiring because I had rotator cuff surgery, so he was off, and he helped me, and it really, my manager's you're less stressed, so he really brings a lot to the table because he does all the maintenance and the deferred maintenance, and I'm not having to do everything.
Guys, I want to thank you for coming on, sharing your story, and I look forward to doing some case studies with you personally. This is just an incredible story. I want to get it out there. The rest of you out there, remember this. It's not the money. It's a lifestyle. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow.
The information and opinions you hear on the Del Walmsley radio show are those of the host, Del Walmsley, his guests, and his callers. The Del Walmsley show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented on the Del Walmsley show constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.